A very good afternoon to you. You're with Lunch Primetime News on Newsfirst. As usual, let's start off with a look at the headlines. Election candidate arrested over assault. National Dangerous Drugs Control Board says that the use of drugs during the election period has increased. GCE advanced level examination commenced. Election Secretariat urges to ensure that election campaigns do not disturb the examinations. Pakistan floods kill more than 115. Thousands evacuated. On to those stories in detail. Speaking at an event in Colombo yesterday, President Maithripala Sirisena commented on the obstacles he faced in drafting the National Health Bill.
18th memorial oration of late Professor Nandadasa Kodagoda was held at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute, Colombo yesterday under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. A special medal was presented to the President at this event.
I recall how the health bill disappeared a week before it was presented to Cabinet. After that it was drafted again, and a year later it was ready to be presented to Cabinet for the second time. At that moment a businessman from the health sector spoke to me about it. I told him it would be presented to the Cabinet next week. He asked me, "Do you know what happened to it the last time?" I said it disappeared. He asked me if I knew of what happened beyond that. I told him to explain it to me. So 2.5 million was obtained from one company. The Director General of Health might know how many companies were registered with the Ministry of Health. So if each company paid 2.5 million, you can calculate how much was paid to make the health bill disappear. When the tobacco advisory was to be presented to Cabinet and gazetted, while I was serving as the Minister of Health, I was told that if it was gazetted, not a single foreigner would come to Sri Lanka. There will be no freedom to smoke cigarette in Sri Lanka. I told them there is no ban on the bill but an advisory. If you wish to smoke, you can. If you do not wish to smoke, you don't need to. There was no ban on it. They said that if this was passed, the entire tourism industry will be affected. Cabinet rejected it. Later, it was passed through Parliament. After the Gazette was issued, I was summoned to Temple Trees one morning. One side were the directors of the tobacco companies and I was on the other. I was to answer the questions posed by them. I felt like I was taken to the 4th floor. I did not respond. Later I was asked, why 80%? India has approved 50%. Pakistan has only 40%. So Sri Lanka does not need 80%. I said that the World Health Organization has asked us to do it. I drew their attention to Thailand and Uruguay. How many lives are lost on a daily basis because of this? How many lives are lost annually? I told those tobacco companies, let the Gazette be. If they wish, they can go to court. Court ordered for the 60% of the advisory. Late on the 8th of January, I was elected as President by the people. We presented the bill to Parliament to raise the 60% to 80%. And that bill was passed in Parliament. The 2015 GCE Advanced Level Examination commenced today and will be held till the 8th of September. According to the Department of Examinations, 309,069 candidates will sit for this year's examination. This includes 236,072 school candidates and 72,997 private candidates. The examination will be held at 2,180 examination centres island-wide. Complaints regarding examination law violations are requested to be submitted to the nearest police station or the Examinations Department hotline 1911. The Election Secretariat has informed all political parties to ensure that the GCE advanced level is not disturbed by the election campaigns. Additional Elections Commissioner M.M. Mohammed said this decision was reached at the meeting between the Elections Commissioner and party representatives last evening. Examinations Commissioner W.M.N.J. Pushpakumara, speaking to Newsfirst, said that if students facing the examination are disturbed in any way, they must bring it to the attention of the Chief Examiner. Election observers too have requested candidates to ensure that the GCE advanced levels is not disturbed by their election campaigns. Election observers says that the casting of postal votes for the 2015 parliamentary elections yesterday took place in a peaceful manner. Executive Director of CAFE, Keith Tithenakon, said that only one incident was reported. The National Polls Observation Centre's coordinator Asanga Harishchandra said, apart from a number of incidents on election propaganda, the casting of postal votes took place in a peaceful manner. Now, as mentioned in our headlines, National Dangerous Drugs Control Board says that the use of drugs and intoxicants during the pre-election period has drastically increased. Chairman of the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board, Dr. Nilanga Samarasinga, said that candidates are providing their supporters with intoxicants in order to encourage them to campaign. In more local news, a candidate contesting the general elections from the Kurunagala district has been arrested in Polgahavela. Police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara, speaking to Newsfirst, said that the candidate was arrested over an incident of assault. Let's now have a listen to some of the views expressed on the political arena ahead of the August 17th parliamentary polls.
We will not brand anyone. We will not benefit from branding anyone. We do not need to say that these are UN peers and these are SLF peers. These people work for that candidate or the other. I wish to state that. Let us vote to build a new country. If a future is to be created for this country, then there needs to be new ways of doing politics. Let us begin that journey from here on. Was corruption spoken of during our time? Gang rape takes place in the open. A sad fate has befallen girls in the provinces starting from the north. There is no child security. The newspaper headlines read that drugs are being sold to the children. This is what good governance has given way for. The railway tracks built in 1960 are still being used. These politicians who failed to upgrade the train engines, the compartments, gates and the tracks are speaking of subways. Some of those who make these promises have not even seen a subway. They will distribute toffees, chocolates, food, pens and other material. We urge the people to not be deceived by these things.
Sri Lanka is just 2 weeks away from the 2015 parliamentary elections. Let's now have a listen to views expressed by political candidates and others ahead of the polls.
I must remind you that we can be satisfied with the present status of the country. We believe that the new government will create jobs, reduce the cost of living and ensure that the people can live freely. I must also remind you that the United National Party was able to put a stop to fraud, corruption, waste and thievery, something that other governments failed to do. We tried our best to nab the rogues. They did some things during this time period. Massive tasks were undertaken, not only in the 100 days, but in 35 days. The most important of them all was the central bank bond scam. 65 billion rupees was swindled in 1 hour. State employees were bound to trees. Media institutions were set on fire. Lasantha Vikramatunga, who was critical of the government, was killed. The world looked at us as if we were an uncivilized nation. There was no democracy or rule of law in the country. Who are our friends? Countries that supported corrupt deals and provided commissions were Sri Lanka's friends. They say one thing to the north and another to the south. The people will not be fooled. We urge the people to once again hand over this country to former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Political decisions need to be made based on the party's honest version of the country. Are there leaders who can provide leadership to take that vision forward? How far do they follow procedure? How committed are they? Most importantly, do they have experience? After Mahinda was made chairman of the SLFP, he did not engage in politics with the clergy, the medics, the teachers, the farmers and the labourers. He removed them. He replaced them with drugs, ethanol, criminals and murderers. This is what he did. The SLFP is filled with such people. Therefore, there is no Sri Lanka and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The United National Party is on the other side of the coin. Although they speak of good governance and democracy, there is no good governance among them.
The body of Niroshan Sampath, one of the persons who was killed in the drive-by shooting in Blumendal, Kotena, was brought to his residence last night. Niroshan Sampath, who was in critical condition after being struck by the spray of bullets, succumbed last morning.
36-year-old Niroshan Sampath from Grand Pass was brought to his house last night, where a large gathering was present. Sampath, who was a door-to-door carpet salesman, had worked for politics in order to fulfill his dream of having a home. He worked hard with the intention of making his dream of sending his 3 children to a prestigious school a reality. Seeing the tears in his son's eyes, many others also broke down. The funeral will take place this Thursday.
Today is day 4 of the Think initiative launched in order to motivate voters to exercise their franchise to elect suitable persons for the legislature. This initiative is organized by Sirasa, Shakti and Newsfirst together with the campaign for free and fair elections. One phase of the Think initiative commenced this morning from Warriapula. The people also pledged their support to use their franchise to elect law-abiding, corrupt-free persons. The program will reach Kurunegala later in the day. Meanwhile, another phase of the Think initiative commenced from Amilipitia today. Members from Newsfirst, Sirasa, Shakti and Cafe raised awareness among the public on exercising their franchise properly and obtained their support for the People's Pledge.
We have commenced a campaign here at the Warriapula bus station, and we distributed stickers and pasted posters and also put up banners at the Warriapula town, and we are heading towards the Kurunegala bus stand where we will be commencing our second campaign, which is the final campaign for the day, and then we will be heading towards the Kandy town tomorrow. We request all people living around the Kurunegala area to arrive at the Kurunegala bus station and witness the campaign, and this campaign is aimed at electing clean parliamentarians to the parliament and for a better Sri Lanka. So stay tuned to Newsfirst as I will keep you updated on the very latest on our campaign. For the Newsfirst team, this is Florin Rajendran reporting from Warriapula.
Well, with that, we wrap up this edition of Lunch Primetime News here on Newsfirst. Your next news update comes your way next hour. I'm Chaturanga Hapwarachi. Have a great day.